And we are back live from ISTE 2015. We're here at the TeacherCast booth. I am here with Matt Miller. Matt, how are you today?
I'm awesome.
Now, the other day we were at the keynote and we had 25,000 educators rushing the doors to leave. And right in the middle of the pack, I saw a yellow shirt. Are you enjoying yourself here at ISTE?
This has been amazing. Yeah, this is my first ISTE, and I've been told to be prepared for it to be overwhelming and to be huge and all of that, but it's been great. A story I've told about previous ISTEs is that I've watched it from the hashtag for a long time, and I was always frustrated at there are all of these selfies out here. I don't understand why there are all of these selfies. Why don't we share links? Why don't we share quotes? Why don't we do that kind of thing? And I'm starting to realize that a lot of ISTE is about the relationships that you make, the people that you meet, and those pictures are kind of like a manifestation of that connection that you meet. And so that, I'm starting to post some selfies myself, and so I'm kind of going back against what that previous version of me would have wanted to see.
It is funny to see the transformation from an ISTE newbie into, oh, I've done this before.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So what do you like so far about this?
Oh man, I mean, just the sheer volume of all of the sessions is amazing. The fact that whatever it is that you teach or that you're interested in, there's probably a session about it, and you can go check it out. It literally feels like my entire Twitter feed is here in one building, and so you get to bump into so many different people, and that's cool. And the expo hall. I mean, if you're looking for a product or if you're looking to talk to somebody about an app or something, there's a good chance they're there. And plus, I got a bunch of cool little trinkets to take home to my kids, so that's always good.
Swag and trinkets is good.
Yes.
Did you get a chance to meet Moby?
No.
Okay.
I've still got time,
we
though,
have
right?
time.
Yes.
You need to go back to your staff and say, I got a picture with Moby.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, that's the one big thing I got to do before I leave.
No, that's the second big thing you got to do. Have you had the ice cream over at Reading Terminal Market yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so
wow.
So Moby first, and then ice cream.
I have two things to do before I leave.
But I'm telling you, go about an hour before this place closes, or else that line is going to get ridiculous.
I bet, yeah. Maybe ice cream at 9:30 in the morning right now, maybe the line would be short and I'd get in.
That's very, very true. Does this make you want to go to Denver next year?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I finally feel like now, after a few days, that I kind of get what everything is and what it's all about. And so for anybody that's coming in their first year of ISTE, I mean, I think that kind of just sets the table for previous year or for future years if you're able to go, just because you understand and then you know better how to plan your time and all of that. So
we've done ISTE shows now for the last 4 years, and everybody says, how do I plan for ISTE? What do I do? How does this work?
Yeah.
And my big advice is book your hotel early.
Yes.
Because the early booking of the hotel means the less walking from the room, right?
Right,
Especially on today being the last day when we're seeing so many people are walking around with their luggage.
Yes.
What advice would you have?
I think that you should have a happy balance between scheduling and not scheduling. I think you ought to pick a handful of sessions that you want to go to that fit into your free time, but then also make sure that you've got free time to wander around the expo hall or come up to the Bloggers Cafe and just see who's there and chat and swap stories and all of that. Because, I mean, that has been the big takeaway for me is the people that I've met and all that. So.
And how can you transcribe that in September when you get back to your colleagues?
That's a good question, and I think maybe the ideas aren't always gathered here, but once those connections are in place, and then when your colleagues come to you, or you overhear your colleagues, or they're talking about, man, I'm really struggling with this, or I'd really like to do this, but I don't know anybody who does it. Boom. Right. That's where somebody that you met at ISTE comes to mind. You say, hey, I've got their Twitter handle, I've got their email address. Why don't I just pass that along to you?
Now, there seems to be some growing trends here. I saw somebody walking around here with an eye patch. Do you know anything about pirates?
Pirates. Yeah, I know a little bit about pirates.
Do you know how to teach like one?
I have read about teaching like a pirate. I try to teach like a pirate as best as possible, and I know that there are some very good pirates out there.
Is there a way to teach like a pirate using a textbook? Or should we get rid of our textbooks?
Well, it's generally my philosophy that we can do better than textbooks.
Well, what would you suggest we do with those textbooks?
Well, I think ditching them would work.
Ditching the textbook?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Whatever ditching you mean, like by tossing them out the window, or
overhand or underhand?
I think you would get a better workout out of it if you threw a bunch of them overhand.
So like a social studies book?
Yes, yeah. I mean, even the heavy ones,
Well, how do we ditch our textbook, Matt?
Well, that's a good question. I think of course, it all sort of depends on your situation. I've talked to literature teachers who are going, man, I've got to have something where kids can read the stories that we're going to study. And I say, if you've got to use a textbook for that, that's okay. But for me, the whole idea of the textbook is you've got this thing that's in print. It's not changeable. A lot of times it's out of date as soon as it hits the kids' desks.
That thing needs to be ditched.
And it needs to be ditched, absolutely. I mean, we as teachers are no longer the gatekeepers of the information. The information's all out there, and I think we're better suited guiding kids to places where they can find answers to their questions, or maybe where they can find their questions. I mean, with information being so ubiquitous and everywhere, maybe our better approach should be helping kids find the questions that are going to drive them instead of finding the information.
Helping them figure out how to solve the problems that they have.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the big real world skills I think that they're going to need, especially going forward, is being able to track down what do I want to know? What does my company need to know? And then finding the information has never been easier in the history of the world.
So is there a place that we can go to learn how to ditch our textbooks?
Well, Jeff, I'm glad that you mentioned that. There actually is, yeah. I write about using technology, teaching creatively, engaging students on my blog, Ditch That Textbook. So ditchthattextbook.com, you could always go there. My book, I guess it's my book, so it's me. But talk about why we should go digital in our classes, some practical ways that we can ditch our textbooks, some mindsets that need to change in education with the way that the world is today, and then also how we can kind of revamp our curriculum with all of that. And so that's one place you could go.
Now, is it possible to ditch your textbook like a pirate?
Ditch like a pirate. Maybe that's my next book. I don't know. I think it absolutely is. It's a lot of this stuff kind of plays together very nicely with the whole teach like a pirate idea. I don't know if your viewers are familiar with it, but it's a lot of using engagement and presentational stuff, like the stuff that TV and movies do to try to hook their audiences in. We can totally use that in our classrooms, and I think that technology can be one of those things that hooks kids in, but it can also allow us to do really cool things that get them engaged and get them really excited about learning.
So coming out next year, we're going to have this awesome publication. It's going to be called 50 Ways to Ditch Your Textbook Like a Pirate Using Google Classroom.
Wow. That'll be like a mashup of yeah.
But you can only read it at 6 in the morning.
It's oh my goodness. And then after we do that, then we could learn like a pirate with 50 ways to use Google Classroom as a pure genius.
While podcasting, I hope.
While podcasting, yes, exactly. That's right. We'll see how many of those we can mash together into one book.
Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Where do you get all these ideas? You're everywhere these days, and if you don't know, the hashtag ditch book is blowing up on Twitter. Tell us a little bit about your background, man.
Okay, I am a high school Spanish teacher. I'm from Kingman, Indiana. I said West Central Indiana the other day, and Jeff poked fun at me, so I better be specific. So a little bitty town in Indiana called Kingman. And so about 4 years into my teaching career, I realized I'm teaching high school Spanish. I was real traditional, taught from the textbook, worksheets, workbook pages, and all of that. And I started to realize that my students couldn't speak Spanish. And so that needed to change. And I started to feel like this textbook and teaching the things that were coming out of it were really hindering me from doing the things that I needed to do with my students and that my students needed to do. And so I basically ditched it, and it was a mess for a while.
And did you have to hide the textbook first before you ditched it, or did you neglect the textbook, or did you use it as a coffee holder? Like what was the first step here?
Well, I did sort of hide them in a way, as in we took all these textbooks and we put them in these big 7-foot tall cabinets in my room, and I locked them so that they couldn't escape.
So that they couldn't escape.
Right, exactly. And
like a pirate.
A pirate. Okay. Oh my goodness. Yes, basically. So yeah, that's kind of where, and I'd like to say that I've got this whole textbook ditching thing all figured out, but I think with any of us as educators, as long as we're continually progressing, learning, trying to make changes and everything, I'm in that same boat. So, and I'm sure that you are too.
Well, what is the next step? Okay, I'm teaching with a textbook. It's old, it's used, it's big, it's expensive. I'm going to throw it out.
Yeah.
What's the end game here? I mean, is that just the trend to let's go digital, let's go iBooks, let's go Google Apps, let's go? Where are we trying to go here?
What's the intent, right?
If we're going to gamify, ditch that textbook, how do I score? How do I get to the boss?
Yeah, and I think I had somebody ask me the other day if I had 5 minutes to get a teacher excited about this idea, where would we go? Where do we start? And I think it doesn't start with the tools or with the apps or with the iBooks or with any of that stuff. I think it all starts with what do you want your legacy to be as a teacher? What do you want your students to be able to do? What do you want your classroom to be known for? Start building from there, and then if there's technology that allows you to do that or allows you to do things that you couldn't do otherwise without it, start putting it in there. And honestly, if textbooks are going to help you do some of that and you can't find another better way, then the ditch that textbook guy is saying, hey, hang on to your textbooks. But for me, there's just so much more that I can do without them, and so that's kind of the route that I went.
Matt, if there was one tool out there that you can suggest that we go to while we're ditching our textbook, like with this supplement, what is that one place that you say, check that out first?
And that's obviously a tough question because it sort of depends on our content. Yeah, I know. That's right. But for me, I really think if you can get a good home base where you can pull everything together, that's huge. For me, I created a class website using Weebly for Education. And I've got a page for all of my classes, and it kind of becomes like my living, breathing, customizable textbook. But if your school has a learning management system, or if you just have a place where if you're doing different things on the web or you're sending kids to different resources, it's just good to have a single spot where you can come back to. And for me, it was that. I also use Google Classroom a lot as kind of a starting point. So I think all of those things are sort of key.
Can you give me one way to use Google Classroom with your students?
One way.
Just one way.
I've heard that there's a book that gives you 50 ways, but I can give you at least one.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I use it as a starting point for a lot of my assignments. Put the information out there of what the assignment's going to be, give kids a template for what they're going to fill in or what they're going to do with it, and then just let them go run. And I mean, I use it as a starting point, I guess. There's one way. So.
Very, very cool. Matt, where can we get a hold of the book?
The best place probably is to go to Amazon. I mean, you just search for Ditch That Textbook, and it's available on the Kindle. It's available in paperback. If you're at ISTE and you see me, I've probably got copies of it in my backpack. So.
And so you're here at ISTE all afternoon to give autographs, I would assume.
Well, if somebody wants me to, then I certainly could do that.
The lines over there are forming.
Yeah, that's true. Hello, thank you all for being here.
There's not a line. There's 25,000 people that are going to be in that room over there waiting for, I believe, an autograph.
Yes, yeah, I think so. That's right.
Are you listening, guys?
It's an autograph of Jeff. That's really what it is. They're gonna
you're gonna
autograph their heads or their shirts or something.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
I'd love to see that.
Well, my kids have been giving autographs.
Really? Yeah.
They're using these crowns.
Awesome. That's cool.
It's what we got here.
I want to get one of those. Yeah.
Here.
There we go.
It's purple. It goes well with the yellow. I'll tell you that.
They're contrasting colors, right?
We should ditch that Crayola. No. We don't want to do that.
Yeah,
we don't want to
I'd
do
probably
that.
hit somebody. Yeah.
There's so many.
I know. The 25,000 over there. Remember?
Matt, what are you looking forward to the rest of the summer?
Oh goodness, I'm sort of all over the state of Indiana and different places in the United States doing professional development, and I've got some opportunities to do that through the rest of the school year. So I mean, that's always super cool for me, is to be able to go out and talk to teachers in different areas and find out what's working for them and be able to share ideas. And I mean, that's kind of what it's all about. So
I'm looking forward to seeing you in Denver.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to reading the sequel to your book. And I got to say, look, seriously, I do have a copy. Matt did send it to me.
Yes.
Autographed.
Yes, of course.
In pen.
Of course. Yes, and not
But
crayon.
It is 34 of the best chapters I've ever written. It is really, really easy to read. And if you haven't checked that Ditch That Textbook, that's what it's called.
I think so, yeah.
You certainly should. We will be back more live with TeacherCast from ISTE 2015.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.